Hey guys, hopefully you are doing well. Harry here and welcome back to my channel again. So today we're going to talk about the moving averages, right? So basically moving averages are used by the financial institutions and traders to check upward and downward trend, right? Basically it's reduce all those noise and the short-term fluctuations on the price, moving prices of your asset, right? So basically what we're going to do is we're going to go through the simple moving averages, exponential moving averages. Then we're gonna look after the algorithm side. We're gonna build those algorithms with using Python programming, and we're gonna do visualization. Then we're gonna do same with the pandas data frame, right? So basically pandas data frames are very cool. They help you to save time, right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do our hand calculations, right? On hand calculation I will show you how to calculate all those individual moving averages, right? And we're going to do visualization where we're going to compare those moving averages, right? So which we build by our algorithms, and of course we're going to use trading view to check are those algorithm are showing same kind of visualizations as compared to our build data visualization using Python programming and those pre-made algorithm which used by the trading view, right guys? So let's move on, right? Right guys, you must be heard about the term known as trend is your friend, right? So basically if you're a day trader, if you are a long-term trader, or not trader, basically a long-term investor, right? Or if you are a financial institution guy, right? You must heard about the word a trend is your friend, right? So basically we're going to talk about the moving averages, right? So we have two type of moving averages in this video, that is the simple moving averages and exponential moving averages. Hopefully you guys have checked out my last video which I have explained you about how to build a simple moving averages, right? So basically today I'm going to tell you how to build the algorithms, right? So let's start with the definition side. So basically moving average is a technical analysis indicator, right? Basically which tell you basically a trend is going upward or downward, right? It helps the smoothen the price day by collecting an average price that is constantly updated. So you guys remember while you are trading or you are looking to the stock chart into the stock market, whether it's the Nasdaq, it's a London stock exchange, or you're looking after a Nifty in Sensex in India, I think it's NSE National Stock Exchange, right? So I don't know that much about the Indian market, right? So basically I'm still learning about that. So let's show you something over here, right? You can see over here there's a up and down fluctuation side, but you cannot visualize sometime because of those patterns. When the pattern comes into let's say 1 year pattern, when it's come into like let's say like a 2 years or maybe more, sometime like even a 6 month, right? It's very difficult to identify the trend, right? It's going up or down. So we need to smooth those lines side, we need to smooth those patterns over here, right? So you can see over here when it's going downward, right, you can see there's a candle pattern, right? It's showing a very massive movement. I'm really scared of this kind of swing, you know, a big candle to have a very pretty strong swing and the power, you know what I mean? There's a lot of price manipulation going over there. So you can see over here the trend is swing downward with the help of the moving averages, right? Now you can identify the other trend is going upward with the help of moving averages. So this gives us a smooth idea with the help of visualizations, right? So the purpose of calculating the moving averages is to reduce the impact of temporary price fluctuations on a stock over a specific period, right? A simple moving averages, you can take the sum of all those data points, right? Basically let's say we have the close price for the 10 days, right? So we're gonna sum all those 10 days, right? Then we're gonna divide it by 10. So basically basically we can say it's very easy, right? For the moving averages, for the simple moving averages, we are taking all those data points, right, for the each observation side, and we're gonna divide by with the sum of those like total sum of those data points, right? But when it comes to Python programming, you know, it's just the sum, right? Open and close parentheses, you're gonna define those lists, right? You're gonna divide by the len, open and close parentheses, where you're gonna define those lists, right? So that is like a sum of all the data points divided by total number of observations, right? So if you're a Python programmer, you will understand what I'm saying, right? So same with the exponential moving averages, EMA, which is very famous in the stock world, right? So it's calculate an average, but it is assigned greater importance to weight to more recent prices compared to the older one. So basically it holds the more power to the closest data points, right? Basically we say like yesterday the stock market was closed, right? The Tesla was closed like 244, right? So basically day before yesterday we're gonna check after those exponential moving averages, right? Those have more value as compared to the 10 days older data points, right? So trend is your friend. Let's move with the SMA trend to be more useful for long-term analysis, right? Well, EMA is often favored by the short-term traders who want to react quicker to the market, right? So basically you heard about the swing trader, you must heard about the long and short on the derivatives, right? So they always look after the simple moving averages, right? How to bring an impact onto the market, right? So we are not talking about the option gigs over here, right? I'll make a video for the option gigs where I will tell you about the delta, I'll tell you about the gamma, I will tell you about the vega, right? So basically we will make a video on that later on, right? So let's move on, right? So those are the formula for the simple moving and exponential moving averages, right? Well guys, so welcome to my coding session, and I'm really excited for this video, right? So basically now we're gonna import these libraries over here, right? So basically you need Y Finance, Matplotlib, and of course pandas, right? So right now this is enough, right? So rest you can use it, but we have no use at the moment, right? So let's say Tesla equal to yf.ticker, right? So basically we are creating a variable Tesla and we are using Yahoo Finance to mine those data for the Tesla, right? And we are using a historical period for 1 year, right? So I'm gonna run this and I'm gonna check the shape, how many data points. So we have nearly 251 data points, which is basically our rows and 7 columns. Okay, so we can say RC, right? Row into columns, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a variable name, right? So before that I will show you how it's look like. So I will say Tesla, right? I'm gonna run this. Now you can see over here we have different columns, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. So date is our index, right? So it is our index, right? So how do I know it's an index? So it's really easy. You select Tesla dot index, right? So now you can see over here those are the index for our dates, right? So now we're gonna iterate through all those close value inside our algorithm, right, for the close. So for that I'm gonna say data equal to Tesla dot close dot values. So I mentioned values because those are the values inside all of them. If I say open dot values, is going to give me all those values. If I say high dot values, it's going to give me all the high values. Similarly I'm going to use close dot values, right? So I'm using data equal to Tesla dot close dot values, right? So I'm going to run this, right? So I'm going to show you some magic. So I'm going to use print function, right? So I'm going to use data. Now you can see over here, so it has printed me all those data over here, right? So for that let me double check, right? So basically now you can see over here, right? So those data over here is in the form of array, right? If I say type, right, if I say data, so now you can see over here just numpy and dimension or array, right? So I'm going to convert those array into a list, right? So if you remember my lecture on data structure, you must know about the list, right? So basically we're converting into a list, right? So now what I said, like data Tesla equal to data dot to list, right? So I have converted data into a list and I have stored those data into new variables known as data Tesla, right? So I'm gonna run this. Now you can see over here, right? So those are all those new data, right? So basically I'm gonna print this into this form. So you can see now it's really easy. Now you have a slider over here, right? You can see all those into a single rows, right? So if you use a print function, it is really advantage for in the basically in the VS Code, right? So if I say now type dot data, right, for Tesla, so now you can see it's in a list, right? So before that the data was in a form of a numpy array, right? So after this what we can do is I'm gonna take a window. Window is basically our average, right? So basically our period, right? We're taking a certain period. Let's say like we are taking a 10 days observations, right? We're gonna observe all those data for the 10 days. Okay, so I'm gonna run this windows equal to 10, right? Then I'm gonna check the land, how many land we have, nearly 251 rows, right? And those windows 10 is basically we're gonna take 10 average from those 251 each time. Okay, so now we're gonna build an algorithm for the simple moving averages. So we're gonna define our function, right? We're gonna be a calculate SMA, it's our functions, right? Then we're going to use an open and close parenthesis as usual, right? And we're going to define data and window as our input parameters, right? And you have to follow all those rules, right? You have to use those columns, right? And now what we're going to do is basically we're going to say a empty list, which is known as a SMA equal to empty list, right? So this is our empty list SMA. Then we're going to use a for loop for I in range, right? So basically we are iterating through all those data inside our iterating inside those data's values, right? So we are taking input of data, right, which is basically gonna be our those datas, right? And we're gonna iterate them through iterator. We're gonna use for I in range, but we're gonna select a range, basically 251 is our total, right? Total length of our data, right? So then we're gonna make a condition, so we're gonna make a two conditions. One condition will be if our data was lies before 10 rows, it's gonna append none. So the value gonna be a none before our 10 moving averages, right? So after 10 moving averages, we're gonna have certain value for the simple moving averages, right? So else, that is our conditions over here, right? Else SMA simple moving averages dot append. So basically before 10, right? So first those oops, sorry, why I'm taking on the over here, right? So yeah, so basically first 10, right? 1 2 3 4 5, similarly till 10 is all gonna be a 0 in our new list for the simple moving averages, right? After 10 is gonna be a certain value after calculating the averages of that. So another is the condition, the when our first condition is satisfied, it will store all those none values into our first 9 SMA, right? And after 10 we're gonna start calculating, where it says SMA dot append some, right, some data where I basically says like I minus window plus 1, right? Then it say I plus 1, right? And it's going to divide by the period. So I will show you what basically it's look like, right? If I say like data, right, if I say like 3 till 9, so it will give me all those data between 3 to 9, right? So basically those what this mean, right? We're gonna do sum, but we're gonna index those, right? Basically we are indexing through like I minus window plus 1, which basically mean list, right? Extracting the window number of data points starting from I minus window plus 1, right? Then the another set for the ending point is I plus 1, right? So I plus 1 is basically it then calculate the sum of all those data point by dividing by window, right? So we're going to return those value as SMA. And I'm going to run the result. Now you can see over here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? So which basically mean I less than window 1 minus, right? So window minus 1, right? So basically does, because of that all values become none, and those are all the values calculated through SMA this formula, right? So the formula for the SMA, right? So I will say print, right? I just want to see into a single row, and now you can see over here, right? There we go. So for another one, we are doing exponential moving averages, right? So basically for the exponential moving averages, we have the formula, right? So price T, which is a today price, and the smoothing factor plus EMA of yesterday into 1 minus smoothing factor, right? So we have built those algorithm over here, right? So before that, we need to understand what going over here, right? So I'm gonna represent the same data, right? Data Tesla as a data, we're gonna take same input, and Windows gonna be same, right? Windows gonna be 10. So EM is our empty list, right? So alpha is basically our smoothing factor, right? So alpha equal to n divided by window plus 1. So window is our period, right? So basically 10, 2 divided by 10 plus 1, right? So then it says EMA dot append data so data basically index with 0, right? So what basically it says, right, it says over here is like see, you have to append our first append, right? So basically when we say EMA dot append, before using this for loop, our first append will be 0, right? So first value we will append inside our list will be 0. Then afterward we're going to use a for loop, right? The for loop to insert all rest of those data after 0. Okay, so that's give us the our first priority in our algorithm, in our functional programming, that we have to input data, I'm like sorry, input data which basically belong to 0 indexing should be our first, right? So basically, which mean if I say like data, right, Tesla, right, and I say like 0, so that's gonna be our first data of our simple exponential moving averages, right? Then after that, the rest of the data will come from this calculating this formula. Okay, so now if I say for I in range 1, then land data, so basically gonna start from 1, and total length of those data, right, we have nearly 251, right, at that line, right? So 1, it will start from 1 and it will go through 251. Basically that's mean it will have only 250, right? So let me show you what's basically is mean. If I say like range, right, if I say like range 1, right, if I say like data and sorry, lan, right, if I say data. Okay, so now let me show you something. It's basically come from 1 to 251, right? If I say print, right, hopefully it should work, right? Oops. Well, so basically the value is like 1 to 251. So basically, if I say like let's say x, for x in range, right, 1 to, right, 251. So that's how I want to show. See, from here 1, the another hour ending will be 250 over here, right, not 251, right? It's basically inside those 251, right? So that's for the line, right? So basically now we can see over here, so our formula for exponential moving averages will be data. We're gonna iterate through our index, right? So till 1 to 250, right, so 251, right, then we're gonna multiply with our smoothing factor, right, plus simple moving averages index minus 1, which basically give us a previous I'm like yesterday moving averages, right, which we have calculated the previous moving averages into 1 minus smoothing factor, right, and that we're gonna append those after those first value 232.22, then all those that are gonna append after this, right? So that's gonna return us EMA, right? Let me show you, right? Let me show you how this works, right? I will say result result 2, right, and I will say calculate EMA, right, and I'm gonna define the data Tesla, right, then I'm gonna say like window, which is basically our 10, right? So oops, something is wrong over here, right? So calculate EMA haven't mentioned, so I haven't run this block, right? So now it will be fine, right? So if I say print, right, I will say result 2. Now you can see over here 232.22, right? So basically this is our first index, right? Then after that we have different value, and we have a lot of variance over here, right? So now before plotting this into a graph, right, basically plotting this into plotting this graph like with the concept of visualization side with using a matplotlib, I'm gonna define an index, right? So I will say something like a date, right, date equal to just give me 2 seconds, right? So basically I'm gonna show you something, right? So over here on the top, yeah, so you guys remember about the tesla.index, right? So I'm gonna use this, right, tesla.index, right? So if I say tesla data equal to tesla, right, dot index, right, so the date equal to tesla.index, right, and if I'm gonna run this, so let me see, right, so I have stored all those index over here. If I say values should work, yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Right guys, so time for the data visualizations, right? So we're gonna visualize all those data what we have calculated using our own algorithm, right? So basically I'm gonna check does it work or not, right? So basically I'm gonna do some sample testing. So I will say data dot tesla dot close dot plot, and there we go. So those are the Tesla data basically on the stock market at the moment, right? So what I'm gonna do next is I will say plt dot plot, right? So date, right, and result, which basically is our simple moving averages, right? You guys remember on the top, so we have stored all those value into the result, right, for the simple moving averages. Similarly, we're going to use exponential moving averages, so we are using result 2 where we have stored the exponential moving averages, all those data we have calculated using those algorithms on the top, right? So now we're gonna say plt dot plot, right? So we'll say date and result 2, right? So we're gonna plot this. Now you can see over here, that's how this look like, right? So I'm gonna copy this, right? So now you can see over here, right, that's how our exponential moving averages and our simple moving averages look like. So guys, so on the next block, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this graph, right? We're gonna make this graph beautiful, right? So we're gonna make this graph beautiful. So that is our next task, right? So I'm just gonna use a simple coding rules, right? So I will say plt dot grid, right? Basically it's gonna give me a grid line, and I'm gonna say like I want color, right? So color is gonna be gray. I want a gray color. Oops, sorry. Oops, this need to be like this, right? So line style, right? So let's see how this look like now. Yeah, now you can see over here there's a grid line over here, right? So the next we're gonna decide fixed size. I will say figure, right, and I'll say fixed size, right, then I'm gonna say 15 and 6. So what I can do is basically I will try again, figure, oops, sorry, plt dot figure, right? So yeah, now that's fine, isn't it? So next what we're gonna do is two thing more left, that is plt dot x label, right? So that's gonna be date, right? Another is plt dot y label, that's gonna be close price, right? Close price, and plt dot title. So we're gonna say SMA and EMA, right? So I'm gonna say plt dot show, right, and I will say plt dot close. So this line of code will give you a very fine graph, right? You can present this to your stakeholder, or you can present to your investors. So that's really cool, isn't it? So next what we can do is we're gonna use a pandas data frame, right? So before we moving to pandas data frame, let me get back to those slides again, right? So what you have did till now, let me show you on the slide. Okay guys, so let's get back to the slide. Right now you can see over here you have managed to build those algorithm, right? So these are the algorithm we have built at the moment, right? This one's for the SMA and this for the EMA, right? So what next we're gonna do is we're gonna use a pandas data frame, which basically have a inbuilt functions, right, which basically save our time for doing the analysis, right? So I made this video a wee bit more deep, so you guys should know how to build those algorithm, right? So we have a lot of algorithm, you know, like if you want to sort your number into ascending order, you can use dot sort and open and close parentheses, right? You can define like that, right? But if you are building the algorithm, you are more into a Python developer side, right? So if you're a Python developer, you can do anything, right? So I just want to make you more focused into building algorithm and also grind the algorithm, right? So let's go into EMA, right? See the EMA, you can see over here I have used two of them. One is like I have built in front of you, the another is we're gonna use using a Python inbuilt function side. So after that we're gonna plot this graph again, right? So we already plotted this graph, right? So now we're gonna plot with the pandas data frame, right? So let's move on, guys, right? So let's move on in our coding session, right? So guys, what I'm gonna do now, right, I'm just gonna copy this top section over here. So this will take only 2 minutes, you know what I mean? Right guys, so I have copied this from the top, right? So what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna say df, right? So I'm gonna say define this variable as a data frame, right? So I'm gonna use our pandas inbuilt function, right? If I say df equal to SMA and I'm gonna use a 10 days, right? Oops, sorry, not plus, right? Yeah, that's the one, perfect. So if I say df dot close die, then I will say rolling and I will say 10 days, then dot mean, right? So there you go, that's your all algorithm, right? So let's say EMA exponential moving average, let's say 10, and I will say df dot oops sorry close, close, right? So EWM, right? Then I will say span, that's gonna be 10, right? I'm gonna say adjust, that's gonna be a false, right? Then I'm gonna say dot mean, so exponential mean average, right? So now the magic will be, there we go, that's the magic, guys. So SMA 10 as EMA 10 is already calculated. Now if you want to verify those datas, if I say 232.22 and 229.23, right? So if you see over here, so that's 232.22 and 229.23, right? So there you go, to 229.23, right? So that's cool, isn't it? So let me show you some more crazy thing. If I say it till 11, now you can see over here, so those are all 9 values, right? But over here you can see over here for EMA, right? All those EMA are are available as like our algorithm has built for us in our previous block, right? And for those one SMA, they have already inputted 9 over there, where I have mentioned you on the top. So all those values, right? All those values before 10 will be considered as none, right? So remember, the none is already automatically calculated over here, 9, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just customize this algorithm, right? So basically those block of code, right? So I don't want to say this algorithm, just a block of code, right? So algorithm was the one we have built on the top, right? And I'll say df dot basically that's also need to be df over here, right? So now it's gonna be df dot SMA and 10, right? So similarly oops sorry, you don't need that, you know what I mean? So I'm just gonna delete this because we can save time now. We are using a pandas data frame, that is the most coolest part of this pandas data frame. SMA 10, right? We say dot plot, right? df EMA 10 dot plot. Okay, so now you run this. Oops, something is wrong. So okay, let me see what it's saying, right? So df module has no attribute df, right? So module, sorry, matplotlib. Oh, okay. So plt dot figure over here, right? So plt dot df, right? df dot close dot, oops sorry, I did opposite, right? Because I have to remove those plt, because see, last time we have to define matplotlib.pyplot, right? That is known as the plt dot plot, which basically define our line graph, right? Then we have to open and close parentheses, then we have to give x and y. For this one, we have already defined our data values. Then we're going to use dot plot, and it will automatically locate those index over there, right? So now you can see over here, it will work absolutely fine, right? So basically what's happened over here is like we have plot the same graph with the two different method, right? The first method was like we build our own algorithm, and we have inputted those values, right? And we have take the output through our algorithm, right? So those algorithm has calculated all our simple moving averages and the exponential moving averages. But this second graph is represented through using pandas inbuilt functions to calculate those simple moving averages and the exponential moving averages, right? So there is no different on the graphs, right? You can see over here, right? So you can see the curves over here, right? And you can see over here it's absolutely same, right? So but the difference is like we have used the algorithm and we have used the pandas inbuilt functions, right? So let's move on next, right? What's our next task, right? So next task is we have to use a trading view just to compare those inbuilt like graph using pandas, and also the graph we have used to build through our algorithm, right? Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna change that into 10 moving averages, right? And this one will also gonna be our 10 moving averages, right? So now you can see over here, that's how this graph need to be. Let this, right? So yeah, there you go. Now you can see over here there's our crossover, right? So yeah, you can see over here there's a one more crossover here. There we go, small, right? And another crossover here, and we're gonna see the crossover here. right? So that's how you have managed to use managed to build your algorithm, right? And also to calculate the simple moving averages and exponential moving averages, right? So what next is yeah, next is like thank you, and there's all my website. I'm like, you can contact me on LinkedIn, you can contact me through the Gmail, you can also contact me through my website, right? Or you can put something into a comment section if you have any problems, right? I can You can reach me out, right? So after this I will also add some videos after this I will also add some hand calculation video on this side. It's on you whether you want to watch this or not, right? It's on you. So this is the most important thing on the coding, and of course showing you how to build the algorithm, right? That was the main task of this video, right? And the other is like the hand calculations, where you will understand how to do the hand calculations to the each new data point which define those curves over here, right? Right, guys, so basically we're going to calculate the SMA and the EMA, right? So SMA is our simple moving averages and EMA is our exponential moving averages. So I have already told you about the formulas, how we're going to use this, right? So for the number of total period in our SMA, we are taking a 2, right? For we are taking an average of 2 closing prices, right? Now you can see over here I have already mentioned everything, right? So I'm going to explain you what I did over here. So basically we have those data for the this month, right? So we have 5 days data from yesterday, right? So yesterday closing price for the Tesla is 244.39, right? So and we're gonna calculate the simple moving averages while taking a 2 days as an interval time period, right? So well, 221.30, right? So basically we're gonna look for the SMA1, right? So 221.30 will be our second day price. So we're gonna work backwards. So we're gonna take one previous closing prices, that will be 217.61, right? And we're gonna divide by 2. So if we do in our calculator, right? So my calculator is quite old, is from 2017 when I started my college. So well, this is my best friend, right? So now you can see over here 219.45, right? So 219.45, you can see over here 219.45. Similarly, so 244, so 224, right? 224 and 221.30 divided by 2, right? So 224 plus 221.30 divided by 2. Now you can see over here 222.65, and another is 244 and 234, right? So 244.39, 244.39 and 234.86 divided by 2. Okay, so let's see, 244.39 plus 234.80 86 divided by 2. Well, I have to mention at least a 2 digit. So 239.62. Okay, so you can see over here 239.62. okay, so now you can see over here is really easy, right? If you want to calculate the 229, basically you're going to look for the closing price for this ones, right? That current day, and you're going to walk back to one previous price, right? You're going to sum both of them and you're going to divide by 2, then that will give you 229.71, right? So you can see over here, so 234.86 plus 224.57 divided by 2, that will give you 229.71, right? There we go. Right, guys, so let's start with the exponential moving averages, right? For the exponential moving averages, let me recall the formula, right? So EMA equal to price of today, right, into like a smoothing factor, right, and plus EMA, that is yesterday, right, into 1 minus a smoothing factor. So let's calculate the smoothing factor first. K equal to 2 divided by n plus 1, right? So basically that's gonna be 2, and we're gonna take a 2 days moving averages, right? So basically it's gonna be 2 plus 1, that's gonna be 2 divided by 3, right? Which basically give us 2 divided by 3. You can see over here this is 0 0.66, right, 6, and I'm gonna take 7 because of the endpoint, right? So let's say another one, we need 1 minus k, right? So 1 minus k will be 1 minus 0 0.6667, right? So let's see, 1 minus k will be our 1 minus 0 0.6667, right? So this will be 0 0.3333, right? So that's cool, right? So first let me show you something, right? If you go for exponential average, right? So exponential mean average, right? So basically over here, I have used the mean instead of moving averages because we are we are using our mean values over here, right? So that's why I use the word mean, right? So exponential moving averages, the first is like 217.61. So 217.61, right? You can see over here. So that is the I'm like it's same, right? It's remain constant to our first, right? Or when it's going for 3 days moving averages, then we have to be careful with that, right? So let's say EMA 1 is done, right? So we're gonna start with a 2, right? So exponential moving average 2. So price of our closing today is 221.3099, right? Into which is our K. This is our basically factor, right? So we're gonna use this smoothing factor over here, 0.6667, right? So we're gonna plus this with the yesterday one, right? So yesterday one is 217.6100. That's basically irrelevant to put double zero at the back. So anyway, just to make you understand, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my calculator. So I'm gonna input this value again, right? So 221, oops, sorry, let's take a bracket, right? 221.3099 into 0.6667, right? Plus, so 217.61, right? So 0.1234. Okay, so that will give us 220.07 6 7. That's quite high as compared to those one, but still we get 220.07, right? So if we are using an Excel sheet or Python, it will give us more accurate, right? So anyway, let's move on, right? So I have the last page for this one, right? So what we're gonna do, we know that K, that is K is equal to 0.6667, and we know that 1 minus K, that is our 0.3333, right? So that's 4 times, right? And now we're gonna calculate our last one, right? 239, right? So let's say let's say EMA, right? So let's say EMA, right? So for the EMA, we're gonna use something like 244.3999 into 0.6667, right? So we're gonna sum that with 230.9307 into 0.3333, right? So basically EMA, that's gonna be 5. That's gonna be a final one, right? So let's say 244.31234 times 0.6667, right, plus 230.9307 into 0.1234. Okay, so now we can see over here 239.91, right? We're gonna stick over here. Okay, so that is our final exponential moving averages, right? So hopefully you guys understand this one, right? Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video, and I will provide all these files on the link below the description side. You can download this file from GitHub, and basically if you want to ask me any questions, if you have any problem, just feel free to contact me on LinkedIn, right? Or you can put anything into the comment sections, right guys? So I will see you on next video, right? So you have a nice day, right? Cheers and peace.